The truth about relationships that are more than friendship, but less than love. If you're in a relationship where moving forward isn't possible and stepping back is equally difficult, letting go feels painful, but holding on only brings more suffering, then you are likely in a complicated situation. This type of ambiguous relationship is not for the faint of heart. So what should we do? If you're struggling in such a situation, then this message is meant for you. An ambiguous relationship is one that's hard to define or label. It's not simply friendship, but it's also not officially a romantic relationship. In such a connection, you can share happiness and sadness like very close friends, but also have deeper physical or emotional intimacy, sometimes including sexual relations. It's a space that exists somewhere between friendship and romantic love. Why can't we call it love? Because there's no confession, no clear declaration of feelings, just a blur. This kind of relationship can go through moments of intense passion, but also bring deep sadness, disappointment, and confusion. You might enjoy each other when things are fun and walk away freely when the feelings fade, without any real commitment or responsibility. Now let's talk about why people choose ambiguous relationships. There are usually 5 common reasons. First, it often starts with young people new to love, transitioning from friendship without planning it. They enter the relationship with sincerity and kindness, and over time, as connection grows, physical attraction begins to emerge. Eventually, intimacy becomes more regular, and one person might fall deeply while the other sees it as temporary. It begins naturally, without any clear intentions. Second, past emotional wounds can drive people into these unclear situations. Someone who grew up witnessing unhappy marriages or constant parental conflict may develop a fear of commitment and avoid traditional relationships. They may also have been deceived or betrayed in a past romance, losing faith in love and seeking only temporary emotional comfort. Thus, ambiguous relationships serve as a healing escape from painful memories. Third, some men, especially those who fit the bad boy stereotype, are driven by the desire to conquer and satisfy their ego. Once the thrill is gone, they look for new partners. These men value freedom and exploration over stability, so they avoid deep emotional bonds. Fourth, while men may experience lower sexual desire than women in general, their ability to control these urges is often weaker. Some young men, lacking money, career, or stability, may feel unable to support a serious relationship or marriage. For them, maintaining an ambiguous relationship helps meet their physical needs without the responsibilities of love. They don't want to masturbate due to mental and physical risks, and paying for sex may be financially unfeasible or emotionally troubling. A long-term, undefined relationship with a willing partner becomes the most convenient option. On the other hand, women typically only engage sexually when there's emotional trust and bonding, unless they are in a profession that dissociates love from intimacy, which isn't part of this discussion. Women may not be ready to love someone who doesn't offer security, especially if they've been betrayed in the past. They too might prefer ambiguity to protect themselves emotionally. Fifth, not all ambiguous relationships start with someone new. After a breakup, some people still love their exes and aren't ready for a new relationship. Being with someone familiar who understands them and makes them feel safe, even if the relationship isn't official anymore, provides comfort and physical satisfaction. This leads to emotionally confusing situations with former partners, which can become very complicated. Ambiguous relationships may seem appealing. They offer freedom, intensity, and little pressure. They let you fully enjoy the moment without being bound by emotional obligations. But is it really a good thing? In the short term, maybe. But joy never lasts forever, and darker days will come. And that's the real reason for sharing this insight. Not to glamorize this kind of connection, but to help others see the hidden dangers behind such undefined relationships. So what are those dangers? When speaking of ambiguous relationships, or those that fall somewhere above friendship but below love, they may appear like a beautiful rosy picture at first. But if we look a little deeper, they are, in fact, a very dangerous game. Such relationships might seem joyful, thrilling, and passionate, but they are not meant for the faint of heart. So what should we do? Let's ask ourselves, who is the one most likely to get hurt in an ambiguous relationship? After more than 5 years of listening to people's stories and consulting with many individuals, It becomes clear that suffering always sets in when an undefined relationship drags on too long. The longer it continues, the more likely it is that the feelings between both people will develop at different paces. Rarely do both parties fall in love at the same time. And in these situations, it is always the person who develops feelings first who ends up getting hurt the most. In most cases, based on countless real-life observations, it is women who fall into this emotional trap more often. First, it's essential to understand that men and women develop emotional attachment differently. For most women, once they decide to become physically intimate with someone, it is as though they have entrusted that person with their heart. This act often comes with a desire for a long-term connection. They begin to want more time, more love, more assurance, and from there, emotional dependence grows. In contrast, for many men, once their physical desires are satisfied, their emotional engagement begins to fade. They may not want to put in the effort or make any further commitments. This contrast explains why women tend to develop deeper emotional attachment earlier than men. Another reason is that women build emotional intimacy through talking, sharing, being close, and confiding. Ambiguous relationships offer all of those things: plenty of time together, communication, intimacy, and over time, it fosters strong emotional bonds, especially for women. But what about men? Do they not suffer in these relationships too, if they go on long enough? The truth is, yes. Many men enter such relationships seeking only temporary physical satisfaction, without knowing what they truly want long-term. When the relationship continues for too long, they may begin to feel trapped. Many men, especially those who are not emotionally manipulative or deceptive, feel awkward or guilty about ending things. Especially when the woman has already developed strong attachment, the man feels pressure and shame about saying goodbye. The idea of hurting someone they've shared so much with makes them uncomfortable, and they don't want to appear cruel or heartless. So, instead of ending things directly, they withdraw emotionally, become cold or indifferent, or even begin to treat the woman poorly, hoping she'll be the one to walk away. Some even go as far as starting a relationship with someone else just to push the original partner away. It's all a pattern of emotional avoidance. No one wants to be seen as the villain in their own story. And because of that, people become stuck, unable to move on, trapped by their own fear or guilt. Ironically, this is where so-called bad boys may appear to be more emotionally honest. They're willing to start and end relationships directly. They may hurt women abruptly, but at least they don't prolong the pain with false hope. That kind of pain passes quickly. It's far better than dragging someone along in uncertainty. So don't be fooled by how fun and freeing an ambiguous relationship may seem at the start. The hidden dangers beneath the surface can be extremely destructive. At first, these relationships may cause discomfort, confusion, and emotional conflict. But the consequences that come later are far more serious. The first is jealousy and possessiveness. Once love sets in, even without a formal label, we begin to want control. We want the other person to belong to us, to prioritize us, to spend time with us. And when those desires are not met, no matter how minor the actual actions of the other person, we still feel pain. Disappointment and unmet expectations lead to suffering. The second consequence is being taken advantage of emotionally and sometimes financially. Many men, knowing that a woman loves them deeply, manipulate that affection. They know they can hurt her and then soothe her just enough to keep her around. They continue to live freely, seeing others, while she remains loyal and emotionally invested. Don't mistake this pattern for stupidity. It's what happens when emotions overpower logic. Love sneaks in slowly, and we often don't realize what's happening until it's too late, until we're deeply attached. Habits form, familiarity grows, and we begin to fear life without that person, even if they're not good for us. That fear keeps many women stuck, unable to leave. The financial exploitation is even more heartbreaking. Some people give everything they have, savings, borrowed money, emotional investment, because they believe the person they love is their future. And when that trust is broken, the devastation is deep. There are cases where men have taken the money their partners gave them and used it to care for new lovers. The betrayal is painful, and it can happen to anyone who doesn't understand or guard against it. Even those who manage to escape such relationships are not always left unscarred. Many lose faith in love itself. They may become emotionally withdrawn, depressed, or too afraid to love again. That loss of trust can lead to loneliness and despair. If we're not brave enough to end relationships that are draining us, if we can't recognize when something is hurting more than helping, then ambiguous relationships can ruin our entire lives. So how do we escape from an undefined relationship like this? There are many strategies and solutions, but the first question is, do we really want to leave? Because if we don't truly want to let go, no amount of advice will help. And since this topic is too long for one session, the strategies to escape such a relationship will be shared another time. For now, the most important thing is to understand the full picture. Ambiguous relationships may seem thrilling, emotionally rich, and exciting. But behind that pink-tinted illusion is danger. They are not meant for the faint-hearted. If you lack the courage to walk away, if you feel emotionally broken, if you aren't mentally ready to face the truth, then this is not the right kind of relationship for you. And that is the honest truth about ambiguous relationships. It's important that we all take time to reflect on our own feelings, understand our emotional boundaries, and decide whether such a relationship is helping us or hurting us.